Staying in power isn't about being loud, aggressive, or always on top. It's about understanding one quiet truth. Power that lasts is the kind that no one dares to disturb. In this video, we're not talking about flashy dominance or winning every argument. We're going to explore how real strength moves like water. Silent, steady, and impossible to grasp. How to stay in power without making enemies isn't a trick. It's a mindset. It's the art of making yourself essential, not just visible. And if you learn to apply what you hear today, consistently, calmly, you won't just win influence. You'll hold it quietly and indefinitely. So stay with me to the end. Then listen again, maybe tomorrow morning or before your next big decision. Let these lessons shape how you carry yourself. And if any part of this hits home, leave a comment below with just one word: stillness. That's it. Just type stillness and you'll remember the lesson every time you see it. Don't forget to subscribe for more calm strategies in a chaotic world. And if you believe someone close to you needs to hear this, share it. Quiet power begins with quiet decisions. Let this be one of them. 1. Don't be the winner. Be the one they can't replace. They cheer for the winner. They hand him trophies, raise glasses in his honor, and flood his inbox with praise. But the moment he steps away, the machine keeps moving. Because admiration is loud, but necessity is silent. And in every room, boardroom, family, friend group, there's always that one person who doesn't shine, yet somehow without them, everything begins to fall apart. They're not the loudest, not the fastest, not even the most praised. But they are the core, the invisible structure, the quiet anchor in the storm. You see, in the pursuit of power, many chase applause. They burn themselves out, proving they're the smartest in the room, the most dominant, the one in control. But true authority isn't built on how many people you can impress. It's built on how many people would rather not move forward without you. There's a difference between winning and being essential. The winner might get the spotlight, but the irreplaceable one controls the current. People tolerate a winner, but they protect a foundation. Ask yourself this: are you striving to be seen, or are you working to be the quiet force no one dares to remove? In most systems, business, family, friendship, the person who lasts is not the one who always speaks, but the one whose absence feels like a hole in the ground. That's lasting authority. That's an invisible influence. And it doesn't come from dominance. It comes from daily consistency, emotional discipline, and the calm ability to do what others overlook. While others shout, you listen. While others push forward, you hold your position. Not because you're weak, but because you understand control isn't about motion, it's about direction. You become the compass, not the storm. The strategist, not the soldier. And when the tides shift and chaos returns, everyone turns to you, not because you demanded it, but because your quiet presence promised stability. Quiet strength is not a tactic, it's a way of being. People remember how you made them feel, yes, but more than that, they remember how safe they felt when you were around. So build that kind of power. Not the power that needs to win arguments, not the power that needs to be announced, but the kind that holds the room together without ever needing credit. Stay in power not by winning, but by mattering so much they forget how to move without you. That's how you become irreplaceable. And that's the power no enemy can take. 2. Silence is not weakness, it's a strategy for. Picture a crowded room filled with tension. People interrupt one another, voices rise, and arguments escalate. The loudest are trying to sound the strongest, but in the corner there's one person who hasn't said a word. No tapping fingers, no raised voice, just presence. Calm, grounded. And as the chaos builds, as opinions clash and certainty collapses, the entire room slowly turns, not toward the noise, but toward the silence. That's the weight of stillness. Not because the silent one had nothing to say, but because they didn't need to say it. Power doesn't always speak. Sometimes it waits. Because silence is not absence, it's control. It's the refusal to be provoked. In a world trained to reward noise, the ability to remain calm becomes a quiet rebellion. Most people react, few people withhold. But when you hold back, not out of fear, but from strength, you create something rare. Tension without conflict, clarity without confrontation. That is emotional discipline power. And people feel it. The truth is, silence makes others nervous because they can't read you. They don't know if you agree, if you're judging, if you're planning. That unknown becomes influential. Because what they can't predict, they can't control. And what they can't control, they start to respect or fear. Either way, it gives you leverage. This isn't about passive behavior or hiding. This is strategic restraint. This is knowing that the calmest one in the room is often the one controlling it. You may have experienced this in your own life, a moment when someone twisted your words, accused you falsely, and pushed you to defend yourself. And yet, you stayed still. You let the silence speak instead. And later, people came to you, not because you shouted louder, but because you didn't need to. They saw control. They felt your calmness under pressure. And they remembered it. This is how quiet power moves. No reaction, just clarity. No performance, just presence. In leadership, relationships, even in everyday conversations, the strongest move is often the one you don't make. The restraint to not explain, not attack, not play into their game. That's invisible influence. That's staying in control when others lose it. So next time you're pulled into noise, remember, silence doesn't mean defeat. It means you're above the arena. And when you're above the arena, no one can touch you. Because those who respond to everything are easy to provoke. But those who master silence become unshakable. And unshakable men are the ones who quietly shape the room, the outcome, and the world around them. 3. The most dangerous enemy is the one who once felt small next to you. Not all enemies announce themselves. Some sit quietly beside you, smiling, nodding, agreeing, while a silent fire builds behind their eyes. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one who attacks you openly. It's the one who remembers how you made them feel when you didn't even notice. A friend once said something that never left me. "You joked about how clumsy I was back then. I laughed too. But that whole week, I felt like I didn't belong anywhere." He didn't confront me. He didn't leave. He kept showing up like nothing happened. But something had changed. That's how resentment works. It doesn't explode, it erodes. You might forget a moment when you made someone feel small. They won't. Because pride, unlike wounds, doesn't scab. It bruises in silence. And sometimes that bruise becomes the seed of a long game. You see, when people lose fairly, they move on. But when they feel humiliated, when their self-worth shrinks in your presence, they start keeping score in private. They don't come back to compete. They come back to correct the balance. And the scariest part is this: you won't see it coming, because the smile remains. The tone stays friendly. But underneath, a quiet strategy forms. This is why emotional discipline isn't just about controlling yourself. It's about how you handle others. You don't need to flatter people, but you needed to be aware of the invisible power of your words, your tone, and your timing. Making someone feel smaller than you may feel like dominance, but it creates enemies who don't want your position. They want your downfall. In leadership, in family, in every room you walk into, you leave behind two things: what you said and how you made others feel about themselves. The latter always lasts longer. A clever insult might win you a moment of applause, but that same insult might fuel someone else's quiet rise to power with you in their crosshairs. So ask yourself, is this moment of superiority worth planting resentment in someone's memory? Because the ones you underestimate today often come back more focused, more calculated, and less forgiving. That's the danger. Not in the noise, but in the silence that follows. Not in the fight, but in the wait. So choose restraint. Let others save face, even when you could easily take it. Win the respect, not the revenge. Because tomorrow's enemy might be the one you accidentally created today. And they won't strike for a crown. They'll strike for correction. Not to beat you, but to shrink you back to the size they remember. 4. The more you explain, the more you weaken your mystery mimicry. There's something magnetic about what we can't fully understand. You felt it, maybe during a first conversation when someone held back just enough. They answered, but never over-explained. They smiled, but didn't unfold. And by the end, you weren't bored. You were drawn in. That's the quiet power of mystery. It doesn't shout, it lingers. But the moment you explain too much, you strip it away. The more you try to make everyone understand you, the more predictable you become. And once people can predict you, they stop fearing your next move. Worse, they stop respecting it. Because power doesn't come from being fully known. It comes from being difficult to read. That's why in any room, office, negotiation, or even friendship, the person who says less but moves wisely always holds the silent advantage. People don't chase clarity. they chase contrast. The unknown commands attention because it leaves room for imagination. When they don't know exactly what you'll do next, they hesitate. That hesitation is leverage. The truth is, you don't have to justify every action. You don't owe people a full explanation for your standards, your silence, or your boundaries. In fact, when you do, you risk turning your presence into a case study, something they dissect, categorize, and reduce. And when that happens, you lose the invisible influence that made you distinct in the first place. Just like a locked chest in the attic draws more curiosity than a cluttered shelf in plain view, your restraint adds weight. Your ambiguity becomes a force. This doesn't mean you stay silent out of fear. It means you speak with purpose. It means you let others wonder what you're thinking, where you stand, how far you're willing to go. Because of that uncertainty, it's not distance, it's design. In a world obsessed with oversharing, discipline becomes rare, and rare becomes valuable. The man who is always explaining himself becomes easy to predict. The man who leaves room for mystery becomes impossible to replace. So next time you feel the urge to defend a choice, to clarify a silence, to prove your worth, pause. Let them fill in the gaps. Let their imagination work in your favor, because you don't need them to understand you. You only need them to be unsure enough not to move against you. Predictability is a luxury for the weak. Unreadability is the armor of the strong. Stay unpredictable, not through chaos, but through restraint. Because once they think they know your next step, you've already lost the game. 5. Winning an argument means nothing if you lose the bigger game. You've been there. In the heat of a family conversation, something was said, and you couldn't let it go. You made your point. Your logic was flawless. You were right, and everyone in the room knew it. But after the dust settled, the energy changed. The air felt heavier. The connection that mattered most had gone cold. And you stood there, holding the victory, wondering if it was worth it. That's the illusion of winning. Sometimes the moment you prove your point is the moment you lose your position. Because not every win adds value. In fact, some victories subtract trust, harmony, and leverage. Power isn't about proving you're right. It's about staying in the game long enough to shape how it ends. I once watched a coworker correct our boss during a meeting, politely, professionally, and accurately. But he did it in front of everyone. The room went silent. The boss smiled, but the promotion went to someone else. Why? Because timing matters. Precision without tact is self-sabotage. In strategy, being right is irrelevant if it costs you control. You don't win chess by capturing every pawn. You win by protecting your king. And sometimes that means letting small moments go, even if you see through them, especially if you do. It takes emotional discipline to choose silence over ego. To pause, not because you're weak, but because you're calculating. Every argument is a trade-off: time, energy, perception. And not every trade is worth making. When your goal is long-term influence, you learn to let others feel like they've won. Not because you've lost, but because you've moved the real battle elsewhere. This doesn't mean you stay passive. It means you prioritize position over reaction. You don't need to dismantle someone publicly to feel powerful. You need to stay in control, quietly. In your personal life, your professional world, and every room where power shifts silently, the person who lasts is rarely the one who speaks the most truth. It's the one who chooses the right truths at the right time. Because the loudest victory often invites the most resistance. And resistance breaks momentum. So next time you feel the urge to prove a point, stop. Ask yourself, what am I really trying to win? If it's just the argument, go ahead. But if it's the respect, the influence, the future, play the long game. Let them feel right. Let them walk away thinking they've won. And then keep building what actually matters. Your position, your presence, your power. Quietly, strategically, permanently. Power that lasts isn't built on dominance, it's built on discipline. It's not about silencing others, it's about mastering yourself. From holding your tongue in the heat of conflict to letting your presence speak louder than your words, each quiet decision you make shapes how the world responds to you. When you stop trying to win every moment and start focusing on the bigger game, you step into lasting authority. And when you choose calm over control, strategy over ego, and silence over chaos, you stop reacting, you begin directing. That's how power without enemies is built. Not with noise, not with force, but with emotional clarity, quiet confidence, and inner strength. Now it's your turn. What moment in your life taught you the true meaning of quiet power? Was it in the workplace, with family, or a moment no one else even noticed, but you'll never forget? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be the exact lesson someone else needs. And if this message spoke to something inside you, don't forget to like the video. It tells the algorithm this kind of strength matters. Subscribe for more insights on Stoic power, emotional discipline, and how to lead with lasting influence. The game doesn't end here. It begins with how you apply it daily.